So this would be coming in from the entrance as you drive in. Field, trees. And the issue is those big old trees. And they're not an issue, they're just now become a challenge. Because this is the Happy Little Farmhouse. And it needs to stay the Happy Little Farmhouse. But the idea of adding on to where we can't see and we keep the view of the Happy Little Farmhouse has now become a little more complicated. These two big trees here, we always wanted to keep. Turns out we can. One is a shagbark hickory and one is a post oak. And the arborist believes they're over 200 years old. So we are definitely keeping them. He said that they are strong and should give us no problems. Over here we have a silver maple. It's got some tip disease, I think he said. He said you could keep it if you wanted. It needs cleaned up a little bit, but it'd be perfectly fine to remove it because it does have a disease. Then we got this dead tree, definitely dead. Take that out. These trees here, he said, provide no value and you can take them out, or you could choose to keep them. There is a silver maple in there and an oak. This, surprisingly enough, he said he would keep. So this tree here is dead. And where I thought it was holding the other tree up, he said no. It might have at one time, but now it is not. So he said this old cedar tree probably did get laid down, possibly in a storm. And that tree probably the other one kept it up for a while. And so this tree grew roots again and strengthened it. And he said that it is now perfectly stable because the roots have grown so solid. So his recommendation is trim up some of the bottom branches, get rid of the dead tree, and leave it because of how neat it looks. My issue is, I think it is kind of cool. So I'm torn because that is where we were going to put the barn or the workshop. Now I have a tree that's possibly going to stay. The workshop could go in front of it. I mean, that tree's going to go, so the workshop could go. He said he would consider keeping these, but they really don't provide any value. Same here. There's a couple in there that you could keep, but they don't really provide any value. That one, dead. Agree, take out. This guy here, he said, is a white oak. And it is over 200 years old. Way up there. And he said that it's very sturdy and strong. There's no weakness to it. And we can keep it. Which, I'm going to walk back here so you can see. There's a reason we want to keep it. And that is because of all this beautiful shade on the Happy Little Farmhouse. It keeps it so cool back here. So, this big old tree can now stay. Then, we've got these two trees here. These two trees are shagbark hickories. And even though it's kind of scraggly looking a little bit, He said they're perfectly fine and they're strong. This one here is probably over 200 years old again. The other one is close to that, but probably a little newer. He said both are solid trees, which means we can keep them. Now, walking back is where we have the dilemma. So, originally, and Travis is throwing acorns at me. So originally the concept was that we would keep the Happy Little Farmhouse and we would build right here. And we would add on. And this would be our new house. Because it looks out on this beautiful little field here. Which, by the way, he said, there's some neat trees here. That grove right over there has sassafras in it and some pretty trees. This here is a sassafras, big old oaks again. So clean up the honeysuckle, keep these big old trees. And now, stepping back, you can kind of get the picture of the Happy Little Farmhouse. So, this little clearing right here was going to be an addition. The problem is, these two trees, if we dig a basement or be too disruptive to the ground, right behind the Happy Little Farmhouse between these trees, we're going to kill the trees. I don't want to kill the trees. They lived over 200 years. They're just big and beautiful trees. So, what do we do? What do we do? We could build a small house here next to this big old tree, which, again, we need to clean this up so that we can keep this beautiful tree. But what do? Because if we keep it, it's going to have to be detached. Like a walkway to the Happy Little Farmhouse, which we could do and put it here. Now, if we did that, it would sit here in between, and looking out, you could still see the field. You could still see everything in the little Happy Farmhouse. The question is, if we did that, would you see the house as you came in? I don't know. It seems like we could hide it, so you still pull in and see the Happy Little Farmhouse. Possibly. I mean, that's a definite possibility, I guess. Sorry. I dipped down. What to do. We also talked about these beautiful trees here. We have so many trees. If we clear out the underbrush, we're going to see our cute little fence. Yep. I believe he said to keep that one.
What did he say it was?
I wrote it down, but I don't remember. Yeah. So it would have to go...
I think it's a mulberry tree behind it.
Here. Well, it would have to go here so we didn't disrupt these trees, because big tree there, gotta keep. Trees there, big tree there. So it would have to go right here. You're waving your hands. I guess it could go here. So if we put it here though, would you see it from the front? Because I'm not opposed to that. Ugh, decisions. I'm just torn here. I mean, look at these big, beautiful trees. You have to keep them. 200 years. They've been here 200 years. I mean, it's 2021. And these big old oak trees, or shagbarks, have been growing for 200 years. It's amazing. And this little farmhouse here, believe was built, guessing 1890s, 1860s, not really sure. And it's been standing this long among these trees, apparently. So that means whoever built this, which I'm leaning toward William Swift, cleared and left these big trees and built this cute little farmhouse here. So what do we do? What do we do? I love that field. I love this field. I love my happy little farmhouse. What do we do? Oh, ignore the blue. That's the cistern that we're trying to keep dry. So what do we do, huh? Ah, yes, so many decisions. For now, we're gonna make it our weekend place while we figure out the future and where we build our forever home.